All right. Buenas tardes, and welcome to the opening event for HSI Week at UCF. Can I have some hands, please? All right. My name is Julian Duque, and I'm the chair of the Hispanic Caucus here for Student Government. I am also a proud first-generation transfer student and a political science student from Colombia. On behalf of the 20,000 Latino students at UCF, I would like to thank everyone who is here today and joining us in person and, of course, virtually to celebrate our Hispanic-Serving Institution identity. Thank you also to the HSI Initiatives Group and our Diversity and Inclusion team for making this event possible and hosting us today. As the chair of the Hispanic Caucus, I really couldn't be happier to be here, but you probably haven't heard about us, so let me tell you a little bit about what we do. We are a cross-branch advocacy-focused group of students designed to support and champion our Hispanic and Latinx nights. We work to ensure our Hispanic RSOs have the resources that they need in order to be successful because, as you all well know, student engagement always leads to better student outcomes, of course. So we're glad to see some of our Hispanic RSOs here, of course. Can we have a hand for them, please? Thank you. All right, we're also focused on advocating for our community. So you may see us walking around your offices, and I'm very sorry for all the emails in advance. That said, we are here today to acknowledge that over 29% of UCF's undergraduate student body identifies as Hispanic. And we're also here, of course, to not just acknowledge, but celebrate UCF's commitment to being a Hispanic-serving institution, right? Now, our university works every day to empower our Hispanic students to reach their goals and achieve their sueños, or dreams. And since 2019, the designation of Hispanic-Serving Institution has been one that we've been proud to say defines us. We work toward achieving a more equitable future for our students every day while implementing ways to intentionally support our growing Latino population through resources and engagement opportunities just like this one. You notice how I said we, though. I really wrote this without thinking it, but it's true. Our university is not just an institution of higher learning, it's a living and breathing group of people. And as that group evolves, of course, the university must respond and meet the moment. And UCF has done exactly that. With our commitment to excellence in our service to Hispanic students, and that really is not just words. Hispanic serving means I can come to class every day knowing that the people in our administrative and academic offices are working every single day to ensure that families like mine have the education they need in order to be successful in the United States. And that more immigrants like me have the ability to enjoy the very American experience of going to college. And most of all, it means that I am safe to be who I am here, and that every one of you is as well. That's why I love UCF. And although we as a university and as a community have made great progress in the fight for Latinx equity and equality in education, there's still a lot of work to be done. So let's never forget que la lucha sigue. The fight goes on every single day in your offices and in our classrooms. And so as you fight, let's not forget that we can do this so long as we charge on together. So, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our leaders in that fight, my friends and our student body president and vice president, Meg Hall and Austin Wilson.
Thank you, Chair Duque, for that incredible introduction. We're so happy you're here today, so thank you. All right. As this Wednesday begins National Hispanic Heritage Month, and today marks the start of the National Hispanic-Serving Institutions Week, I begin by asking you all to reflect on what this means to you personally, as a student or faculty member, and as part of the UCF community. Being a part of the UCF community is something I take great pride in. Always accompanied by pride is dedication to what you take pride in. My hope is that Hispanic-Serving Institutions Week and Hispanic Heritage Month and every day in between inspires us to dedicate time, effort, and our hearts to what it means for UCF to be an HSI.
For everyone, this may look a little different, but it's important to discover what it is. Maybe it's going to all the wonderful events UCF has planned this month to grow in your understanding of Hispanic heritage and immerse yourself into it. Or it might be engaging in what our various Hispanic student organizations have planned for this month. Perhaps it's growing in your knowledge of what Hispanic Heritage Month means through the means of literature and art, or growing in your understanding of the history behind Hispanic-Serving Institutions Weeks. Whichever path is chosen, we must call on ourselves to use this time to celebrate, as well as continue to lay the groundwork and reflect on how we can continue to celebrate.
Student government is extremely proud to support UCF in being an HSI and support the Office of Diversity and Inclusion in their efforts to make this happen.
Meaning that through our advocacy, legislation, protection of student rights, programming, and overall support, we stand with the following HSI principles here at UCF.
Our focus is serving in all its forms.
We celebrate intentionality, intersectionality, and inclusivity, and believe they operate cohesively.
We embrace equity-minded policies and practices that enhance academic and career outcomes.
We value the active role of cultural assets that enable success.
Our purpose is to educate and empower.
Each of these principles is to not only be said, but also something that we are to feel. These principles are calls to action, and it is our job as Knights to make sure these principles come to life.
With a focus on serving, we strive to create new opportunities dedicated to serving our Hispanic and Latinx students. When it comes to our celebration of intentionality, intersectionality, and inclusivity, we emphasize that the three cannot function, and there is no celebration with all three having the space and resources to flourish. When it comes to the embracing of practices and policies that enhance academic and career outcomes, we reflect on what it means to implement, support, and give energy to these practices and policies.
To truly value the active role of cultural assets that enable success, we emphasize and reiterate the important foundation that cultural assets play in being a pathway for success. For our purpose to educate and empower, we recognize that this is not a duty to be taken lightly, and that we must continue to do the necessary work to be able to educate and empower our Hispanic and Latinx students. It's important for us to be knowledgeable of the proclamation Mayor of Orlando, Jerry L. Demings, has made for this place that we love in our greater community. It reads.
All right, we're gonna read the proclamation now. Whereas the National Hispanic-Serving Institutions Week, led by the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, is observed during National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th through October 15th, and
whereas the University of Central Florida, herein referred to as UCF, was first recognized as a Hispanic-serving institution by the U.S. Department of Education in January 2019, and
whereas UCF has become one of the best colleges for the quality, access, and value for its educational offerings since its establishment in 1963, and
whereas UCF minority students represent 48.5% of their student body, with Latinx students representing 27.5% of the student population, and
whereas UCF serves more than 19,000 Hispanic, Latinx undergraduate, graduate, and medical students,
and where UCF ranks 5th in bachelor degrees awarded to Hispanics/Latinos across all disciplines in the United States.
Now therefore, I, Jerry L. Demings, by virtue of the authority vested in me as Orange County Mayor, do hereby proclaim September 13th to September 19th, 2021 as National Hispanic-Serving Institutions Week
in Orange County, Florida, and recognize local Hispanic-serving institutions for providing significant educational attainment opportunities to our Hispanic students.
It is with great honor and pride that we celebrate this proclamation. It's extremely great to be able to celebrate the 19,000 Hispanic students who make the UCF community the community it is. Ultimately, it makes us both proud to be able to charge on with our fellow Knights and give the opportunity to cherish our culture and diversity.
Throughout this month, we recognize the influence of our Hispanic community and celebrate Latinx history, culture, and achievements. We are thankful for the opportunity to be here today and celebrate this moment with all of you. One of my favorite things about this university is not only the diversity here, but always the way in which we celebrate and support the diversity here.
May we continue to charge on and create spaces, academic and career support, and overall, celebrate our Hispanic and Latinx nights.
Go Knights.
Charge on!
Thank you.
Bueno, muy buenas tardes a todos, a todas. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I'm Dr. Cyndia Muñiz, Director of HSI Culture and Partnerships, and I just have the great pleasure of introducing our President, President Alexander Cartwright, who will share brief remarks. Welcome, Señor Presidente.
Thank you, Cyndia, and thank you, Megan Austin, for the incredibly choreographed presentation. And Julian, thank you for everything you're doing. Buenos tardes, Knights. It's great to be here. It's such a pleasure to actually be in person for today's events as a kickoff for Hispanic-Serving Institution Week. Our fourth year actually answering the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities call to celebrate Hispanic-serving institutions. And also pleased that later I want to congratulate the HSI champions that will be recognized later in the program for the HSI Battle of the Brains 2020 Business Solution winners, leveraging cultural capital for our career team, and UCF alumnus Gonzalo Sauri from Accenture Strategy and Consulting. Thank you to all of our champions for your contributions that help advance our HSI objectives and your meaningful work that continues to support our mission and vision. UCF is committed to inclusive excellence. That means we are devoted to providing access to the best possible academics, faculty, and learning experiences for every student who is looking for an opportunity to benefit from all that higher education has to offer. Devotion to inclusive excellence is at the heart of who we are. It is also how we will create our greatest impact. If we are to become the best version of what UCF can be, a world-leading public metropolitan research university, we must build an inclusive environment with a culture of compassion and care. That means everyone is welcomed and included, celebrated and supported on all of our campuses every day. We are proud to be recognized as a Hispanic-serving institution by the U.S. Department of Education. UCF is one of 3 Hispanic-serving institutions in Florida's state university system, and it's one of only 16 Hispanic-serving research institutions across the country. For UCF, the HSI designation is not an award to be hung on a wall and passively admired. It is an active recognition of the work we have done to more effectively open our doors to Hispanic students, and it is a call to action for the work we still need to do. This designation focuses our attention on a large, diverse, vibrant segment of our community and provides new opportunities and funding for serving them. In the 2 years UCF has had the HSI designation, we have already received $26 million in HSI-related funding, including $19.2 million in HERF funds we would not have received otherwise. 7 faculty members have received HSI-related grants. Recently, UCF was awarded funding that will allow students from underrepresented populations to develop technologies for NASA's Armas program, the effort to return to and maintain a long-term presence on the moon. It was our HSI status that made us eligible for those dollars. As we pursue our place among the 50 best public research universities, our valued partnerships with the Minority-Serving Institution STEM Research and Development Consortium and the R1 HSI Consortium will be crucial. Moving into our 3rd year of having the HSI designation, I encourage every UCF department, college, and unit to examine how they are embracing our call to best serve our Hispanic community and student population. Our commitment to inclusive excellence requires ongoing and intentional evaluations of how we are serving all of our student populations. National Hispanic-Serving Institution Week and National Hispanic Heritage Month, which starts this Wednesday and continues through October 15th, are excellent times to celebrate and take stock of how we are fulfilling our responsibilities to these students. And of course, this is also a great time to appreciate the tremendous assets our Hispanic graduates are to the Central Florida community and beyond, as they pair their cultural perspectives with the skills and knowledge they acquire through UCF for the benefit of their companies, organizations, neighborhoods, and families. Something I love is that UCF is a university for the future. Right now, UCF looks a lot like America will in the future. The diversity in backgrounds, cultures, identities, interests, and ideas represented by our students and faculty is incredible. It broadens our thinking and expands our horizons. The resulting new pathways for collaboration and discovery will lead to new solutions to challenges, old and new, in science, industry, and society. This week, we honor and embrace our status and identity as a Hispanic-serving institution. We appreciate the strength and perspectives our Hispanic community contributes to our university, and we focus on the incredible benefits we can provide to our Hispanic students through the power of higher education. Thank you, and as always, Vamos Knights. Yes. And now, I would like to turn the podium over to Dr. Cyndia Muñiz. Our UCFs, yes. Yes. UCF's Director of HSI Culture and Partnerships, to introduce our keynote speaker. And thank you so much, Cyndia, for everything you have done for us as a HSI institution. Thank you.
No voy a llorar. I will not cry. Hi, everyone. Buenas tardes a todos de nuevo. Bienvenidos. Welcome, everyone, to National HSIs Week, our celebration here at UCF. I'm just so thrilled that you all have chosen to dedicate some of your time, whether in person or virtually, to join us. So thank you de corazón from my heart. Presidente, muchas gracias. Gracias por tu apoyo. Thank you for your support, always. I also now have the great pleasure of also introducing our keynote speaker this afternoon, Mr. John de Armas. Mr. John de Armas currently serves as Chief Executive Officer of the Zaza Group and Chairman of the Board of Directors for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Metro Orlando. He has had several impactful C-level positions with profit and loss accountability for mid-sized to billion-dollar corporations and has a wide range of industry experience that includes media and entertainment, consumer goods and services, telecommunications, e-commerce, tourism, manufacturing, and management consulting. You name it, he has done it. Mr. de Armas is a recognized expert in U.S., Latin American, and Asian business growth expansions, and we are delighted that he has joined us this afternoon to share his thoughts on the role of HSIs in Florida's economic development. John, bienvenido a UCF. Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros. And everyone, please give Mr. de Armas a warm night welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My real name is actually John Anthony David de Armas Gomez Mora Lizardo Guzman. Very nice to meet you. And I've been Hispanic all my life. Actually, very proud to be Hispanic. So it's an incredible pleasure, really, to be here with you this afternoon. I was born in Cuba from a Dominican mom, Cuban dad. Sorry, it's the home country, you know, that calls in and pulls those emotional strings that we all know. We lived in Mexico, we lived in Guatemala, in Colombia, Mr. Commander, in Medellin, Puerto Rico, obviously Cuba, and the Dominican Republic. And I've had the pleasure to literally work in 42 countries around the world. And I can't say enough about diversity and how important it is, and to have that perspective of when people are waking up in Asia, we're saying good night, and when we're getting up, they're getting up, and they're always a day ahead for some reason. I've never been able to figure that one out. So, and being in this institution is incredibly special, and talking about HSI, Hispanic-Serving Institution, is even more special. As I was preparing for this short conversation, I got to do a lot of research. And I got really trigger happy and made about 200 slides on the presentation. And we cut them down to like 15, and we'll go through them very quickly. But what an amazing thing HSI does, not only here, but anywhere in the United States. And it doesn't exist because somebody in Washington decided to allocate few billions here and there. It exists because it actually provides a place and a time and opportunities for Hispanics that not only need it, but they need to be adapting and understanding the entry into this country, which is very different. And even for Hispanics that live in the United States, first, second, and third generation, is still extremely relevant for them, because within the Hispanic households, we get an awful lot of love, we get an awful lot of great food, right? And by the way, I think that's almost like a privilege, right? We're born with this sort of besos and abrazos, you know what I'm saying? But we totally mess it up when it comes to talking our kids into going to higher education and pursuing higher degrees, or like you're gonna see a little later, you know, the whole STEM, the whole science area is a little foreign to us. Right now, I have the extreme pleasure to be the CEO for the Salsa Group. By the way, the founder is right here, Ruben Perez, who I dragged today. Ruben is one of those Hispanic children, you know, with a dream that has spent 30 plus years in the food and hospitality industry. And last 8 years, he launched Salsa, you know, so I'm part of the Salsa Group. A lot of people don't know this, but Salsa has 3 business units. It has the airport business unit, which makes a lot of money for this man right now. And it has the restaurant business, which, by the way, there's one right here in, how many people have been to the Waterford location? Yeah. I think it's the best coffee in the entire universe. I don't know about you guys. And we're about to open our flagship store in Oviedo. So you guys are gonna have, and if our dream comes true, we would have popped little Zaza cafes all over the UCF campus. So our kids have access to the best coffee in the world. That's all, just a dream. So let's go to the next slide. Oh, I dictate the next slide. Yeah. So people talk about the 60 to 70 million Hispanics in the United States, and it's a number that people sort of throw around. But I wanted you to understand that there's almost 700 million people that are of Hispanic nature or Latino, meaning that they speak Spanish, from 18 to different countries in Latin America. And the deeper you get to know these countries, the more you understand how different they are. The whole world of the word Hispanic, if you really want to know the truth, and not with Latinx, which forgive me for being older than you guys, I'm still not used to the Latinx. I'll sort of warm up to it in about 20 years. But the word Hispanic is really a marketing term. that was given to Hispanic to treat it as a brand new segment in the marketplace. But when you're in Colombia, right, you're not Hispanic, or in Puerto Rico, you're not Hispanic, you're Puerto Rican. Our food couldn't be different, our language, the words that we use, our customs, we are extraordinarily different. Yet when we come to the United States, we are one happy marketing segment, right? So we've grown a lot. I always get so excited about the US Census, and I was a little worried this year because we weren't sure if it was gonna get it done and how. I don't know if you guys were involved in that, I was. And the tally came out really nicely. There's 62 million of us right now, legally, right? There's a lot of Hispanics in this country. The number is about 10 to 12, and trust me, I know, because things that I've done with DirecTV or, running Home Shopping International and doing television for Hispanics, we talk to them all the time. There's about 12 to 15 million, believe it or not, Hispanics that are not in that number. So that makes it even a bigger roadmap and a bigger impact in what we're trying to do. What's really interesting, though, guys, is that the Hispanic population grew 23%, and the rest of the non-Hispanic grew what? Come on, guys. Thank you. Just want to make sure you're paying attention. And it's a young group, 28 years old. I don't know what's the age group of the Hispanic population here, but I would manage to say it's between the 18 and 30, more or less in that sort of category. Sorry, guys. I thought that I had turned it off. Sorry. So this one is the one that everybody pays attention. And if you are a marketer and you're serving the Hispanic market, you obviously want to pay attention to that, which is, wow. The buying power increased by 69% in 10 years. And people always wonder, how in the world does that happen? Does anybody know? That what? Entrepreneurship, right? Anybody else knows why? Because that's an outstanding number, 69% compared to 49%. And look at what he's saying about the labor force. Hispanic accounted 82% of all labor force growth. So what is happening in the labor force right now? Education drives it, right? The other thing that drives it, I'm not saying that Hispanics are this or non-Hispanics are that, but the one thing they come into this country is for a dream. There's nothing more powerful than doing something for a purpose or for a dream. They come here to see if they can do better for their kids and their kids can do better for their kids. My dad and my mom, we left Cuba. Those are people that understand the situation. You come here, you come with nothing, you work, and you work. That's why that number is there. Hispanics typically have 2 jobs. And in some sections of the country, they have 3 jobs. So you start adding it up. Job, cha-ching, second job, cha-ching, 3 cha-ching. That's why they have more spending money than most people, because they work so hard. But what they really want is to work so hard is to make sure the kids do better. Isn't that an amazing thing? Look at the spending. Almost $1 trillion. Has anybody been able to figure out what $1 trillion looks like? Take it from me, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of zeros. I've never seen it physically, but I've seen it in like a balance sheet. What do they do with that money? That's a lot of money, right? The challenge, and this is my personal perspective, challenge is that I think that they spend so much money right now consuming. It's like we buy just about everything. And do you understand why? There's a reason why. I've studied this very deeply. They come to this country and they know that this is going to be their future, yet they don't really understand or really believe that they're going to stay here forever, even though they're second, third, fourth generation. So they come here and says, let me work there. You have no idea how many of them come and they say, I'm going to work for a little and then I'm going to go back. And that dream is usually never realized, right? But I only wish, looking at some of the numbers that I saw this week preparing for this chat, is that they're not nearly investing enough in their future. They're not investing enough in their family. They're not investing so much in their youth. And this is the outcome. It's nice to see that the bachelor's degree for Hispanic moved from 13.9% to 18.8%. It's good news, right? It's going in the right direction. But have you ever figured out how long is it going to take to get it to where it needs to be? And that is precisely why HSI is here. And that's why I believe every dollar spent in HSI is every dollar invested in somebody's education and somebody's future. Take a look at the STEM side of the graduation. We are, if you look at bachelors in STEM, Hispanics only represent 9.5%. Does that surprise you, those numbers? It surprised me. I had no idea. I know we were kind of low on the overall graduation side, but I didn't know we were so low on the STEM side. If you look at the bachelor's, 67% white, 9.5 Hispanic, 7.2 Black. Doctoral, even lower. And we know that the future is in technology, is in math, is in science. So that's a huge challenge, Doctora, right? That's your challenge, that's our challenge. It is not my challenge. I had no idea. So this has been incredibly educational. For you, of you that do not know a lot about HSI, there's about 569 institutions that meet the federal enrollment right now, taking care of about 3.8 million Hispanics. I'm telling you, I always watch out for how the government spends money. This is money well spent. Right, Mr. President? This is money well spent. Because this turns hardworking Hispanics and other minorities into contributing members of our society in every field. This is kind of mean. I don't know, obviously you know this because you're a doctor, I'm not. So it says, HSIs are a major contributor to the economy, prosperity, for the national engine. For example, of the top 10 colleges and universities ranked by the Social Mobility Index, 9 were HSIs. Isn't that amazing? That means this data point is that you are directly and positively contributing to the growth of the Hispanic population and what they mean to the United States. But really the growth. Like Orlando, you guys know what percentage of Hispanics represent Orlando? Anybody knows? It's about 30%. Think about an economy like Orlando that's growing in steam. I mean, there's nothing hotter. Like I sort of grew up in Miami like every human, right? But I've been in Orlando for about 10, 12 years. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. You guys are so lucky. Not only are you like in an amazing institution from an education point of view, but you're one of the hottest markets. People think of Texas and Austin and Los Angeles and New York. Look, their parking lots are full. Ours is just about to be built. So the opportunities right here in Orlando, right here in Central Florida, for you and for UCF are totally endless. So I was also asked to give you some advice. I'm not good at giving advice, but I'll give you what I know. Can anybody read that? It says what? Be a McDonald's fries. Tell the truth now. How many people have eaten a McDonald's fries? Tell the truth. Don't be shame. I won't shame you. Promise. They're pretty elaborate little things. And we should all want to be a McDonald's fry. Did you read it already, or do I need to read it for you? I will tell you this, right? Because this is really interesting. I actually made this little presentation to the Zaza group 3 weeks ago, because we were talking about how do we layer competitive advantages. Each one of you are a brand. You're a brand. You're a brand. You're a good brand. By the way, I can't speak as fast as you guys did, so I used to, but not anymore. As each fry hits the palate, I want you to close your eyes. Imagine you eating a little fry. As each fry hits the palate, the crisp, salty exterior is quickly followed by what? The sweet, tender flesh. And the brain tells you right away. What does it tell you? Please, Brady, please, give me another one. Now, why do I want you to be like a fry? Well, because it's sugar-coated. They use something called dextrose. Any chemical majors here today? See, that's what I mean about Hispanics. Mr. Presidente, we need to do something about that, would you? I'm so obsessed with that. I mean, it's like I can't take it that Hispanics are not up to par with everything else. I get a little excited about that. So something needs to be done. And then after the sugar, they actually add saltiness that sends the brain into what? Pleasurable overdrive. And that's when your dopamine starts happening. Do you understand what I'm trying to say about layering the flavors? And we are no different as individuals. We cannot be one single dimension. You've heard of 3D? Even 3D doesn't cut it anymore, right? And then he goes on to talk about sugar, salt, and then fat. And this is the grand trifecta, meaning blending all these crazy things they put together. So after this, you're either going to go buy one, or you're going to say, hell no, I'm not putting one of those things in my mouth. But the point is not the McDonald's fry, right? The point is you need to be able to layer who you are. I took this picture at a bakery in Vienna, Austria. How many layers are there? Can you guys count? By the way, it tastes great with coffee. So the question is, I mean, this is for you to examine, right? This is the section for our students in the room. You need to examine yourself. Are you a 3-layer talent? By the way, 3-layer talent is very easy to see through. It's actually kind of plain vanilla. So if you're in the 1 talent, talk to me afterwards. Are you a 5-layer talent, or are you where I think you should be? Are you our 9 to 12 layer talent? Are you a 9 to 12 layer brand? And by the way, I mean, I've done a lot of things in my life, in running companies or whatever, but at the end of the day, I'm a branding guy. And because I think brand rules, you know. The reason for brands is that people pay you more money than what you're worth, because I gave you a story that you liked, right? And I gave you a compelling story that you want to be part of that brand. People don't buy brands that are 2 layers or 3 layers or 9 layers. And the thing is that once you taste a big piece of that, and I don't know how to tell you, you're like sitting in Vienna, Austria, in this beautiful little cafe from the 17th century, and you're drinking crazy, amazing coffee, and you take a bite of this. But that's exactly how you should taste. And it doesn't taste like 9 different layers. It takes like one amazing cake that I talk about 3 years later to an audience at UCF. That's how impressive it is. If this was on one layer cake, do you think I'd be talking about it? I don't think so. You can do that from the box of, like one of those little things you do at home. So what makes you so unique and different? And you hear that about brands, right? And you probably heard it for yourself as well. But as a student, as somebody that's striving to do extraordinarily well in life, and I hope that everybody's here, I am almost very sure that the reason you're here instead of like drinking coffee at Sasa, and I hope you do, but the reason you're here is because you're better. You're already better because you're here, because you're trying to learn. You're trying to see what is it that I can learn, what is it that I can grasp that I don't know yet. So let's talk about some of those layers, right? And very quickly, because we only have 3 more minutes left. Do you have a skill or a combination of skills that, what's the key word, that most others don't have? These are questions that you should be asking yourself. Are you going to be blending in the entire population, or are you going to have at least one skill that is different than anybody else? What's the second one? Do you have relationships with people that most others do not? That's a competitive advantage. In my days, we used to have these things called Rolodex. You guys, anybody here old enough to remember that thing that went around? How big is your little database of people that you know? And are you taking the time to get people that you should know? It's amazing how easy it is to get to know people when you put your mind into it. Next one, do you have resources that most others don't? Again, this is like a checklist that I'm just providing for just to be helpful. Do you have experience and experiences that most others do not? Like you and I were talking about the internships, and I was talking to Sheila about, part-time work. I cannot tell you how critically important for you to have as many internships and as many part-time or fractional jobs. It doesn't matter the industry you have. Do you guys know that? It doesn't really matter. You're talking to somebody that's done like 5 different industries. If you really want to know, it's curiosity. That's all there is. I always want to know, what does it take to be profitable in this industry? That's why I've done it. I'm a little overly curious. I'm not suggesting that you be. But the experience that you get during college is fantastic to have that degree. It's almost essential to have a degree. But how many of those little part-times can you work 3 weeks someplace? Do you understand when you're talking to somebody, they don't care if you worked there 3 weeks or 3 months. You just have to drop it and say, I worked here and this is what I accomplished. Please don't tell them what you did, because nobody cares what you did. But we do care what you accomplished while you were there. That's the huge difference. Do you have a specialization that most others don't? Do you have a price that most others don't? Do you have a brand that means something? Like, what's your name? Austin. When they say Austin, right, what do they say when people say BMW? The ultimate driving machine, don't you know that? It's the ultimate driving machine. But what do they say about Austin, right? What is the first thing that comes out of their mouth? What is it? Talkative. What was yours? Texas. You know what, guys? It doesn't matter what they say. What it matters is that they say something. Do you understand? Versus Austin blank, right? That's what we don't want, isn't it? And talkative is good. And you did it very fast. So working hard, have you ever heard that? Working hard versus not working hard, or working harder, or what is it? Working smarter or not harder or not working? It's very confusing to me. I never understood it. Do you know why I never understood it? Because you have to work very hard and you have to work very smart. Please don't ever say that you need to work smarter than harder. Please don't ever say that. Please take that out of your brain, because it's not true. You will have to work hard if you want to get to the place that you want to go. Now, achieving what you think is your personal best. I hear this all the time, especially the new generation. I've heard my son say it even. Oh, Daddy, I'm doing my personal best. You have no clue what your personal best is. So how in the world are you saying that you're doing your personal best? Do you know that most people incredibly limit themselves? Did you guys know that? We incredibly limit ourselves. In every company that I've been in, and trust me, there have been many, the average improvement at a personal level when it comes to measurable performance, minimum is 35%. That's without doing very little. We so limit yourself. So don't ever say, I'm doing my personal best, because you don't know what that is. You will maybe someday. Thinking that you are working real hard, we talked about that. There is no such a thing as working, we talked about that. Telling future employers or business entities that you really like people and you really want to help them, well, that's when my interview with you is over. And again, I don't know if it's a generational, it's good that you like people, right? I hope you like people. And I hope that you like to help them, right? I like to help people too. But if you're interviewing for a job, they're not interested in that. They're interested in what can you do for me? And what will you deliver your first week of work? I hope that you don't mind that I listed that, but the problem is that I've been in a lot of interviews lately, and I'm hearing that. And I just wish you guys wouldn't make that mistake. Hope you don't mind me telling you that. Be confident in your ability to reach your highest potential, but be confident, but also be the other C, be competent. Competent without confidence is not enough. There is no shame in getting support. I have never been able to accomplish anything in my entire life without the support of many around me. Never. Don't ever do it alone, because you're not going to ever reach your best. Did I go back? I'm going backwards, sorry. I was going back to the cake. The last one is, I've always said that this is sort of something that I live by. Success has a price. And the question is, are we willing to pay the price? Because I will tell you from personal experience, it has not been easy. It just hasn't. And I will always also divulge something to you. How many Hispanics are here this afternoon? Yeah, I want to speak to you for just 1 minute. This is the greatest country on earth. And they have invited so many of us to be here. And in my case, it's always been with the most welcome arms. But I've been in corporate America for many years. And if you look at my LinkedIn profile, I think I did pretty well. And I'm hoping to do even better for Zaza. But it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work. When a lot of the guys and ladies were going home at 5 or 6, we stayed. Because we had to produce more. We're talking to get to the highest levels. I'm not talking little minutia. Don't go outside in UCF and say, oh, we're Hispanics, we have to work harder, whatever. No, it has nothing to do with that. It just has to do with, you want to make it in this country and you want to make it big, and I've been very lucky. I'm telling you, very lucky to make it to the highest levels. But it had a price. And the question is, are you willing to pay it? Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Mr. de Armas. I think we may have time for one or two questions if there's a question. So we do have two of our amazing student assistants who will circulate a microphone if there is a burning curiosity. If anyone has a question for Mr. de Armas. Let's see. Okay, going once, going twice. Oh, there is a question, please.
So, John, thank you so much for visiting us today. It's always a delight to hear you speak and to learn a little bit about your story. So my question to you is, you have an impressive pedigree already, having led some very familiar brands that are multinationals, et cetera. What attracted you to Zaza specifically? I'm a huge fan of Zaza, as you know, as does Ruben as well. And I'm always lobbying for a location in Lake Nona. I always have to just throw that in there.
Me too.
So what attracted you to Zaza, and what do you hope to accomplish for them?
You know, it's a multitude of things. The first one is Zaza's dream and objective in life, which is to provide comfort to the people that go through those doors. We actually just changed our name. We used to be called Zaza Cuban Diner, and just recently we changed our name to Zaza Cuban Comfort, because we want to provide that experience. So that was one reason. Two, Zaza is a Cuban restaurant. I take a lot of pride in my background and where I came from, and I feel lucky to be able to share that with everybody that walks in that door. The third is the potential. You know, you've heard about Chipotle. You have so many. They're in the Mexican realm, right? There's nothing like it in the Cuban realm. So there's 5 Zazas now, soon to be Oviedo, and soon to be 10, and then soon to be 100. So the possibility is endless. And hopefully you'll keep Zaza in mind as you apply and as you finish your college career here, because it's an immensely kind and futuristic type of company that is worth spending time on. And, you know, I'm at the stage of my life that, you know, you can like literally go to the south of France and sort of float in the Mediterranean. That doesn't sound bad right now, but there's a point in your life that you want to do something that has meaning, something that has purpose, and something that is tons of fun. So thank you for that question, and it's so nice to see you today. Thank you so much. Oh, you have a question?
Hello. So they say that hindsight is normally 20/20. So with that in mind, what advice would you give your 19-year-old self in college?
And I was 19 years old, and I was pretty wild 19-year-old. I went to a private school in California, in the middle of Napa Valley. A lot of wineries there. And so, but it was a tough school. This school would actually kick you out if your GPA went down to below a B. So we did have to, it was really tough to get in. Being a 19-year-old not only was a wonderful thing, but in hindsight, I really wished I fully understood how critically important the overall college education was going to be. To this point, has been hugely instrumental. I would also encourage people to study things that either have an awful lot of meaning and purpose, or something that you can literally make as much money as you want to make money. And it's not for the act of making money. Do you understand? I love making money. Like if you look at my private business card, it says profit maker. You know, like a winemaker, like a shoemaker. That's what I've done all my life, is figuring out what does it take to be profitable. To me, that's fun, right? For you, it could be different. But work on your craft. Try to be good at something. I became really good at profitability. How to make other companies profitable. Makes me happy, believe it or not, because it's sort of like a riddle. It's like you're trying to figure it out. Find out what you think you're going to be happy with, but finish a degree, either a minor or a major, that you can fall on and get in a nice path. I literally didn't take college seriously until my junior year. Now, my kid, on the other hand, by the way, my kid is graduating from medical school in a few months. Very proud of that. He studied 10 times more than I did because that path requires that. Believe it or not, in college, I studied business, and I also had another major in psychology. And you know what's really interesting? The psychology degree has helped me as much as the business degree in terms of understanding people and their behavior. Isn't that interesting? But I took behavioral sciences and neurosciences, which gets into the point of what are you thinking right now and how do I figure it out? And in the business world, is how do I figure it out so I can make you successful and I can make the company successful. So taking it very seriously more than I did and focusing on something that you know for sure is going to make you happy, but it's going to be able to get you a good job that pays decent money. What you do with the money, because I never make money for making money. What you do with the money, whether it is to provide for you and your family, but there's a lot of need in this world. There's a lot of need. And there's nothing that gives you more pleasure on earth, which is to take your hard-earned money and give it away to causes that are really helping a lot of people. Nothing more purposeful and more fun to do. Thank you for that question. Appreciate it.
John, pero se me olvidó. Tengo un regalito. We have a little gift for you, so thank you for your time. So if I'll go ahead and give that to you here.
All right. Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Would
it.
you like to pose a quick picture
Sure.
here? Here we go.
Thank you. And if you don't mind, I'll take my phone back.
Sure. Thank you so much again. Thank you for those valuable insights and for painting the bigger picture for us. No, we're here to discuss the significance of Hispanic-serving institutions and not only what that means for us, for all of us, whether we're students, faculty, staff, alumni, our external community partners, what that means as far as how we serve our students here, but then also in turn, what that means for our local community and the talent that we are producing for our neighborhood, for our backyard, and the potential that you mentioned. No, the potential not only for Central Florida, the state of Florida, but nationally, and dare I say globally. So thank you for those insights. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Otro aplauso, another applause, please, for Mr. de Armas. Yes. Bueno, mi gente, everyone, we are now going to have a little bit of fun and celebrate some of that great work that we have been referencing, pointing to. We've alluded to some of that great work. As part of today's program, we also want to showcase some of that meaningful work that is happening at UCF in support of our HSI objectives. The following 3 initiatives that we are recognizing as HSI champions during this next portion of our program is also strongly aligned with our discussion today about the role of HSIs in Florida's economic development. As I share a few words for each one on each one of those initiatives, I'd like to invite those individuals up to the front to receive their HSI champion piece. here to my right, and smile for the camera. And Lord, look who we have here. We have Nitro, who has made an appearance. Thank you so much, Nitro, just in time for pictures. Yes, wonderful, wonderful. So let us start with the first group that we would like to recognize, our HSI Battle of the Brains 2020 Business Solution winners. In October of 2020, 8 UCF students from our College of Engineering and Computer Science and the College of Business Administration competed in the inaugural HSI Battle of the Brains, which is an HSI academic national championship and recruiting showcase of top Latino talent from colleges and universities across the country. Participating teams were provided with a business problem by Dell Technologies and were asked to provide a technical solution. Our students rose to the occasion, worked to address the current challenges faced by low-income communities in the education system. That was the focus, the problem that was presented. And they proposed their solution of an integrated website along with their marketing plan and financial forecasts that led to their winning Best Business Solution. Please join me in congratulating our students, Maria Pacheco Naranjo, Julia Silva, Karen Ortiz, Tomas Daza, Paul Stuckey, and Dr. Carlos Valdez, a faculty member in the Integrated Business Program who served as the coach for the team. Muchas felicidades, HSI Battle of the Brains winners. Would you please make your way towards the front so that we can celebrate you? You're welcome. Oh, okay, sure. Yo también, un momento. Wonderful, thank you. Yes! Thank you. Muchas felicidades, and thank you for representing UCF with excellence. Muchas felicidades. Next, we want to recognize what we refer to as our LC3 team. Let me tell you what that means. In September of 2020, a UCF team of faculty, staff, and administrators participated in a leadership institute hosted by one of our national partners, Excelencia in Education. The focus of the institute was linking completion to the workforce. As a result of the team's participation in that institute, UCF launched a web course this summer entitled Leveraging Cultural Capital for Your Career, LC3 for short. You got that? Yeah. The goals of the web course were to help students learn how to share their personal stories effectively, how to promote their cultural assets to attract employers, and leverage their cultural wealth to gain a competitive advantage. The web course consisted of 5 modules on community cultural wealth, career readiness, preparing for interviews, gaining experience through internships, and the Florida Work Education Program. Over 200 UCF Access students have already completed the web course, and over 82% of those students felt the web course was a valuable learning experience, indicating they felt more confident in promoting their cultural assets to attract employers. Please join me again in thanking and congratulating the LC3 team, Dr. Doris Alcival, Dr. Wayne Bowen, Veronica Haynes, Josefina Rosario, Dr. Kimberly Schneider, and Abigail Troche. If you would please make yourself to the front so that we can recognize you. Thank you, Nigel. We got one more for you. All right. Muchas felicidades a todos. Thank you again. Thank you for your efforts in developing this important resource for our students. And last but certainly not least, of course, we want to recognize UCF alum Gonzalo Sauri, class of 2018 and senior consulting analyst with Accenture. If you haven't already had an opportunity to read the article that came out on UCF Today last week, I encourage you to pull it up and to read Gonzalo's story. In summary, Accenture decided to focus their annual giving campaign in support of historically Black colleges and universities and Hispanic-serving institutions. Gonzalo currently leads the Hispanic American Resource Group in their Tampa Bay office and was instrumental in including UCF in their campaign. It was this contribution that led to the establishment of our new Vamos Nights Fund. Gonzalo, thank you for advocating for UCF y por apoyar nuestra comunidad, for supporting our community. We sincerely appreciate your efforts, and we would like to celebrate you if you would join us in the front, please. Okay. Another applause for all of our HSI champions, please. So continuing on with Gonzalo's story, it leads me to our big announcement today that we are launching our 25 for 25 campaign this week. So in honor of National HSIs Week, we are asking that you kindly consider giving $25 in acknowledgement of the 25% threshold that is necessary for colleges and universities to be federally recognized as Hispanic-serving institutions. The Vamos Nights Fund will support student scholarships and fellowships, internship placements, professional learning opportunities for faculty and staff, and seed grants for HSI-focused projects, research projects. Okay. To give $25 or any other amount that is meaningful to you, just scan the QR code that is located on your seats in front of you if you are here in person, or on your screen if you are joining us virtually. You can also visit foundation.ucf.edu/Vamos Nights. Any amount is appreciated, and together we can expand the support that we provide to our students and enhance our impact as a Hispanic-serving institution. So please give today. With that, I believe that's it for now. Nitro, we will take more pictures a little later after the program. That's right, we'll find you over there. Thank you, Nitro. With that, I will now turn it over to my colleague, Ms. Stephanie Campbell, who will highlight some of the ways that our Multicultural Student Center supports our Hispanic Latino students. Muchísimas gracias y vamos Nights.
Excuse me, it's stuck in my earrings. Ow. Okay, I'm settled. Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Campbell, and I am the coordinator for the Multicultural Student Center. And I'm excited to be with you all today to ring in Hispanic-Serving Institution Week. So thank you, Dr. Muñiz and the ODI staff for putting together this event today. So I am here to share with you some of the ways that MSC will be supporting our Hispanic and Latinx students here on campus. And so to begin, along with student government, MSC provides funding support for registered student organizations. This allows us to collaborate with culturally based organizations to help bring the very creative ideas that they have come to life. In addition, we will be centralizing the Hispanic Heritage Month calendar, collaborating with various Latinx RSOs, UCF community offices, and also community partners as well. And some of the new things that we have planned, this may not be news to everyone, but we did open up the Cultural Center. It's located in the Student Union on the 2nd floor. And so with that, we will be having a designated suite for our Latinx RSOs. And so if you are a student here and you are a part of an RSO, a Latinx RSO, please definitely reach out to MSC or myself, and we can share the application with you all. And then also coming out of the Cultural Center in the spring of 2022, will be the Cultural Center Leadership Summit, where we are planning to have a leadership summit that will provide leadership and training skills for our Latinx culture organizations to help their organizations grow and have a greater impact for the students that they engage with on campus. And the last bit that I want to plug is I want to invite everyone to the Hispanic Latinx Showcase that's going to be taking place this Wednesday in the Cape Florida Ballroom at 12 p.m. So I love to see you all there in support of that as well. And you see some faces here today there as well. So we all get to meet again and have some fun. Thank you. And finally, I would like to invite Dr. Guzman for the closing remarks.
Buenas tardes. Oh, tantos dormidos. You're all sleeping. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. I'm just blown away by how passionate and committed we are, not to just be a Hispanic enrolling institution, but to truly be a Hispanic-serving institution. From our community, Mr. John de Armas, and our extended family at the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and other community and corporate partners, to our president, Dr. Alex Cartwright, who had to step away, members of his executive team, our faculty, staff, and our students. You see, being a Hispanic-serving institution gives us access to more resources that benefit the entire teaching and learning environment, not just Hispanic, Latina, Latino, Latinx students. If you visit the Department of Education website, it will list 2 bullet points for why HSI grants exist. First, to expand educational opportunities for and improve the academic attainment of Hispanic students. But second, which is oftentimes not mentioned at all, is to expand and enhance the academic offerings, program quality, and institutional stability of the colleges and universities that educate the majority of Hispanic students. In expanding and enhancing such academic offerings, programs, and institutions, we expand quality educational opportunities and improve the academic attainment of all students. Because the second part is often left out, people don't always understand what it means to be an HSI, other than we enroll a high number of Hispanic, Latina, Latino, Latinx students, and that we receive money to support them. But in fact, being an HSI also opens the door to conduct groundbreaking research to not only transform education so that it's accessible and conducive to students regardless of socioeconomics, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, religion, accessibility needs, etc., but that can also transform the world that we live in, finding solutions to some of our communities and society's biggest issues. Being an HSI means that we prepare our students for internships and employment opportunities in fields where they are woefully underrepresented, such as STEM, right? But it also means that we prepare all students to make a greater impact in the workforce by having the global and cultural competence to understand the diverse world that we live in. Being an HSI means that we not only celebrate the accomplishments of our Hispanic, Latina, Latino, Latinx faculty and staff, but that we recognize the disparities that may hinder upward advancement or tenureship, that we actively and intentionally seek ways to remove barriers, and that we provide resources to ensure that they can be successful, such as mentorship. Lastly, I would say that being an HSI means that every unit, every department, every college, every office, every leader, every faculty member, every staff member, and yes, every student plays a role in serving. So ask yourself, what is my role? How am I serving? How is the area that I'm responsible for serving? Or am I still doing what has always been done before UCF became a Hispanic-Serving Institution? That is, before 1/4 of our students, or almost 20,000 students enrolled, were Hispanic, Latina, Latino, Latinx. Because if nothing changed, there is a big chance that 1 out of every 4 people you interact with or serve is not receiving equitable service. And if I factored in other diverse populations, the number could be much higher. As we close out today's program, I challenge each of you to reflect on what it means to be an HSI, how we can maximize the impact, and what each of our roles look like. UCF has all of the potential and the passion and commitment to truly be a national model for inclusive excellence and for serving Hispanic, Latina, Latino, Latinx students. A great big thank you to our speakers today, to SG and your involvement, and to all of those who received an HSI award. Que disfruten el resto de su día and enjoy the rest of your day. Y vamos Knights.
All right, everyone. This concludes our program. Thank you all for being here. Thank you again for those joining in person, for those joining virtually. Thank you. Vamos Knights. Have a great afternoon. Muchas gracias.